Uh, Chris, in high school or college, did you ever have a like physics lab where you do the old iron filings and magnet experiment where you kind of see the magnetic fields north to south with magnets to try to, I don't know, I'm not sure what we're trying to prove with
To
those.
do
Get people
magnet
excited.
stuff. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, I remember some fun experiments like that.
Yeah, the and you don't have kids, but there's a ton of like magnetiles, a big one, magnet toys. There's a lot of little builder things where you've got north south um, like arms in little, I think they're stainless steel ball bearings to kind of like build yourself a dodecahedron out of magnets and stuff.
Yep.
If you've seen those at least, right?
Yeah, and I was actually just looking around for those like crazy strong like neodymium
Yes.
magnets.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Right.
uh, I fished a broken. This is a long story, but here's the short version. I had to prop the um, cylinder on a small engine repair I was doing and broke the tool I was using to prop it through the spark plug hole. And I was able to put some rare earth magnets on the end of trimmer line, get it, fish it in through the hole, and pull the piece out that prevented me from having to rebuild the entire, disassemble the entire engine block, which was a relief. Um, and
It's a good use of
those,
a magnet, I think.
yeah, yeah, that was a desperate use of magnets, let me tell you, in that case. But those, I don't know if they're those rare earth magnets, but like old style platter hard drives have really strong magnets in them. And I used to run service business for uh, Apple specialists back in the day, blah blah blah, many years ago, and we would do like warranty repairs and business services and stuff, and we would periodically get requests to like um, take a business's hard drive that had been backed up and like make it, destroy it so that there's no possibility that the data could be read, and so you take the drive apart and stuff, and we pull those magnets out and keep them on our workbenches because they're so strong. They're great for like you can just like toss your tool at it and and it'll hold it for you. You can, although you can pinch yourself something wicked with those if
Yeah.
you have two of those. Um, but it's always like it's at least 5 minutes of little distraction, even if you can't use them. But like lead magnets, do those get you excited? If you
No, stop.
find
Uh,
they they're
this day
magnets.
had to come. This day had to come, didn't it?
They're
Um,
not as strong, or that maybe they are. Everyone thinks their lead magnets are as strong as those rare earth magnets.
I mean, that's certainly what the data you could force the data to tell you at some
That's
point.
what everybody wants the data to tell you for sure.
Yeah. Um, I'm curious before we get into it, like, I like, what's causing you to want to talk about this today?
Well, a lot of things. The simmering frustration with lead magnets as a long term like um, quote unquote solution. Like a company recognizes like, oh, we've got a gap in our pipeline, or like we've got a story that we want to tell, or we have a segment that we want to reach. You know what we need? We'll create a lead magnet for that. And then, like, those people that we want will just come and download that lead magnet, and then we'll convert them into leads, right? Or they'll be leads and we'll call them, right? Um, the focus being on the tactic that a lead magnet, which for traditionally being a downloadable PDF that you get in exchange for your email. Uh, uh, my theory is that those mostly sit on people's desktops, never to be opened again
Man,
after
I've
being
opened,
downloaded.
I've created my fair share of PDF laden electronic drives that
Yes.
never were open. Like, I don't know if I opened 1% of the PDFs that I've downloaded in the history of PDFs. And like, this is a problem, folks. And like,
Yes.
it goes so deep. Uh, and it was the second trap that I I came up with. And just to like show how pervasive the problem we are speaking to is, I fell into it yesterday because my agents fooled me a little bit. Uh, when we do our daily show, I because I like to have fun and I'm testing like how this kind of stuff works. So like Baldwin, my writer agent, like does a top three, does a research top three, and then we reveal them during the show, right? And so I don't know what's going to be said. And then like this one shows up. Demis Hassabis is handing off day-to-day leadership DeepMind. It's like, oh, where's he going? Let me read more. And then I read it and it's like, okay, yeah, not sure. It seems like a bad thing. And then I click into the story and it's like he's actually getting more, like he's kind of rising up in the alphabet, like Google, gonna have control over more models. Because the first reaction was like, "Oh, no, I don't want him to be less involved," right? And I guarantee you this, like, as the agents, and this is we talk about training data, right? This is a clickbaity headline,
Yeah.
right? And there's no lead magnet behind it, right? So the pervasiveness of how we're supposed to write content on the internet comes from the space of how do we get leads? Uh,
Hmm.
to have a lead in our system, we need the email. To get the email, we need them to click on the thing, and then the thing needs to be downloadable. And in order to know what they want to download, we need to know who they are and all their pains. And so this was the second trap because it goes hand in hand with the leads trap, where you're dehumanizing the process. And to get leads, you need to give something in exchange for an email, but then you KPI the hell out of your teams and how many emails did you get? Like, and that KPI starts to drive the entire strategy.
Hmm.
And it's interesting how, like, for me, it's strong enough where even though the story brand framework of like, the hero model of like making your customer the hero, like that part made a lot of sense to me. But when you see how they execute it,
Yes.
it's 100% revolves around lead magnets.
Hmm.
And,
Yeah.
and it's like, oh, so basically, in how often is it a trick? And like, we just don't like it. So, what began as practical marketing innovation,
Hmm.
hey, we got some valuable information, just give us some contact details, like burned into this huge system that tries to extract without giving you like any value, right?
Yes.
So
Or
the
yeah,
other
I mean the distinction of you know are Josh and Chris saying don't ever create PDFs in exchange for emails to download them? No, but we've all seen the differences of uh, a lead magnet that seems interesting, and you think like, okay, yeah, I'll put my info in here, and hopefully I'm not going to get you know called or texted in 5 minutes. There's some stuff in here that's interesting, and then it's a mostly fluff 2 page PDF document versus the one that you download and it's maybe it's 20 pages or whatever, which is like too long to process and make sense of, and you never open that one again because it's too much. but maybe you also recognize like, oh, this is just 20 blog posts, right, that are on the site and they've been turned into a PDF. And like, yeah, we get it. And the incentives and everything that backs that, right? But on your slide there, it called out like phone number, email, company size, buying role, budget, timeline, right? And it's like, oh, there's your qualification criteria in the form, right? They say you ship your org chart, but like lead gen forms, you ship your qualifying criteria, and um, and it's so like if you can step back a little bit and look at your forms and lead magnets with a little less emotional involvement and say like, is this, we call it a lead magnet trap, because is this are we just like desperately trying to get a list of names that and figure out whether they're worth calling or just sending email, or is there an audience of people out there that may or may not be ready to buy your product or service, and may or may not even be, in your market, your ICP, whatever, but that you want to and can help, right? Like that's the distinction of the lead magnet trap.
Yeah. And like, this actually existed before the value path in terms of like creating the framework. Um, and we're about to go into why the value path exists and is so important for you to overcome like this trap. Um, because AI says all the things that you could do to get my email address, you don't get to do that anymore.
Yeah.
Right? Like, because what you're offering in those docs are often not, scarce. Like, I could get it anywhere. I could ask AI,
Yeah.
right?
And
Even
these
then,
days, probably they asked AI to build the you know the lead
right.
magnet for them, and so it's just reductive and no unique insights.
Yep. And again, like, since this came from like 2000, right? When Salesforce introduced the lead object and this concept of just having a bunch of data in your system that's not qualified, and we create these other systems like lead magnets, like these qualification SDR team setups. Like, I mean, like, if you ever have those moments where it's like, hey, like, God dang it, I answered the phone. All
Yeah.
right. Hey, Chris, I saw you downloaded that thing some time ago. Once it was a year ago,
Right.
right? And Oracle was the worst, like, to where I recognized their unlisted number. Like, they called me enough because I downloaded 151 KPIs for your CFO. Want to learn about, financial stuff in ERPs, and I got calls every day, right? And all of this leads to like how our software has worked, and the idea
Mm-hmm.
of 7 to 12 touch points. And you know because we need so many, because we didn't qualify, we're just trying to get your email address, so we actually have no idea who you are. And like, we got to hand that out, right? So there was enough success that we could create all these systems to support, again, like, data. So much of this is just a self-fulfilling prophecy for how this has come to pass.
For sure.
But when content's primary purpose becomes lead generation, it often means it's not actually valuable, right? And that's the other side is, if you want to and understand that AI, or so many different ways I can go get value, including price, right? Like, I can get it a bunch of ways. And if you're not going to give it to me, that means I'm going to get it from somewhere else. And that somewhere else I'm going to see as valuable, right?
Yeah.
And if it's your competitors, that's not good for you. Um, and so this knowledge flow that we have now, like all of the scarcity, like this, anything related to scarcity for why I would download your thing, like just gone. What's not gone is you having value, like you sharing value to say,
Yes.
oh, I want to work with these folks. They're open, they're honest. I'm not seeing anybody like this. There's an opportunity in almost every single space to do this. And again, like the decisions that you have to make, if we just look at these three: tangible, shareable, multipliable. If it's behind an email address gate, I can't do any of these,
Yeah.
right? And we know people are sharing links in Slack. They're sharing link on LinkedIn, right? And it was just as I started on this journey of, okay, how can I make it valuable? I need to know where you are in the journey and like and who you are. Um, but I but again, not in the way that this usually works. Like all the qualification questions that you shared, like 80% of the time, at least in the industrial market space, and if I say that space, probably 95% of the time, those questions relate to how do I know who to assign it to next,
Right. Yeah. There's a lot of
right?
that. Yep.
And
Yeah.
guess what? The other person does not care about who they're going to talk to next. And man, yeah, I could go
Yeah.
on.
Yeah, I mean that's a good call out. You know, like the your lead forms shipping your qualification criteria. They also ship your for larger companies ship your market segmentation criteria, right? Like a number of employees drop down is like, oh, okay, you know, you're trying to figure out if I should be assigned to your mid market team or to your enterprise team, right? Yeah, that ugh, it's
And the amount of data maintenance and tech debt that we have to build
yeah.
to support insane. Like, so
Yeah.
all of this, like League Magnet is just like kind of the canary in the coal mine. But when you see that people are measured by KPIs related to that thing specifically, you know there's just a whole bunch of complexity that's just teams don't enjoy. The buyers feel it. And that means, and so often because the buyers feel it, we then build systems that solve for that friction instead of actually just showing
Right.
up in a valuable way.
Yeah. And the, you know, a different conversation. It's a lot more speculative, but yeah, so it's not, I don't know, maybe that's got to be a different context of like when you are talking about the whole point of if you were doing a lead magnet right, or what you should replace lead magnets with is like, what is your what is your unique contribution to, you know, your the middle of your bullseye is people who are good fits for you where you can help solve a problem for them, right? Like that's where you should be focusing lead magnet style content. And what it means to like answer general questions, educate your audience about industry or fundamentals or whatever is very much in question right now because of AI, right? And like maybe uh, trying to get cited in answer engines is the long term solution there. We really don't know how that's going to shake out. In my mind, that's a much more of an open question. But what should we do instead of lead magnets is multifaceted. But by way of example, we've been talking mostly about, we maybe haven't hung a lantern on this, but if you have two or three lead magnets, and you're going to have long forms in that case, or you're going to have, you know, pretty bad looking conversion um, KPIs because you're going to have to have teams making phone calls to every single person who downloads a lead magnet. At the other end of that spectrum is what HubSpot has historically done. I think it also is an open question of where they're headed with this, but you know, uh, HubSpot. I mean, I don't know how many. I don't know if anybody there knows how many lead magnets they had at their peak, right? Of like all of the different PDFs and things that you could download. Some related to HubSpot. Some were like um, they did a lot of like education and information for practitioners that it wasn't HubSpot specific about inbound marketing, marketing generally, specific marketing tactics that weren't HubSpot specific, right? I mean, the I would love to know how many they had at their peak. Um,
I heard like in Salesforce, like they have like millions like per
yeah,
year
yeah.
leads generated, right?
Well, I just mean the actual lead magnets themselves. You know,
Oh, how many of
the
those?
actual documents. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh man, I've remembered some numbers from like I don't know, Co-Schedule or someplace like that where it's like 5% of the content that gets made gets trafficked. Like at these companies where they've just built these machines of just
right.
lead magnet after lead magnet and everything turns into a lead magnet.
Yeah, and now that it's cheaper than ever to produce them, the only controlling factor on there is how little traffic these will probably get. But the we'll talk about content in a minute, particularly in the context of hand raiser as the stage of the value path. But the um, the if you are shipping content, right, like at some point up the ladder, somebody is going to say, well, we published 20 newsletter posts last month and 50 blog posts and 1,000 social media posts across all the platforms, and we refreshed our ad creative and that was 500 ads, and like what is all this content getting us? And lead magnets also are an attempt to align that KPI to say, like, well, we did produce this one piece of content and we can pin that to 1,000 leads or whatever the number might be, in a desperate attempt to like prove the ROI of content. Proving content ROI, like if you need to say, this particular blog post that cost us X dollars in tokens to produce produced Y amount of revenue. That's very hard. And honestly, I would say like it's probably I think um, it's a perverse incentive to be able to track that, because you will what you will find is you'll find a long tail, but also uh, you will find that it's easy to even if you could, it would be easy to determine the ROI of stuff you've already published. You can't project the ROI of the stuff that you haven't published, and so it's just going to like move the goalpost and make it even harder to produce content to help your customers. That notwithstanding, we do have more tools than we ever have to take the lead magnet as the primary tent pole out of the picture, so that like I have this conversation, it feels like 50 times a month, but by the time you have somebody in the CRM, if you are producing content and sharing it with them or making it available that is your unique perspective, tailored specifically for your audience, even personalized for the people that you are working with, like the simple fact of we can bubble up their record in the CRM if they are hitting high value pages on the website that don't have to be lead magnet gated, right? We don't have to say like, oh, they downloaded the the pricing estimation Excel file, right? Lead magnet. Oh, and and then they also downloaded our roadmap template. Okay, that's a good person to call because they actually went through those gates, meaning downloaded the lead magnet.
That
Um,
clearly means they have intent to buy right
right.
now.
Yeah. And they're definitely not a competitor shopping you. Um, the
Oh man.
but if that stuff is open, right, it is more valuable to more people, more accessible to more people, more shareable, to your point. And like, we don't need the email exchange. If you want to track every single person and you don't want anybody to be able to see that content without providing an email, well, you can't do that. But we can get pretty close, usefully close, by having that stuff just be open and tracking the views, and bubbling it up. Like, hey, rep this person you've been talking to, and they hit these five like pages that we have seen correspond with a high degree of intent. Um, ping them. Like, what do they need at this stage, right? Um,
Yeah.
it's a lot more accessible than it used to be. Um, so I want to talk about hand raisers in this context, which
Yeah.
is in the value path. It's for those of you who haven't seen every single episode, value path is a replacement for traditional approaches to life cycle stage and the industrial era approach to a pipeline that you try to cram people through in order to generate revenue. The hand raiser stage comes before someone is actively entering into a purchase decision, and the kind of um, the customer's language that we use to kind of represent this stage is, I need help. Like, they are saying, hey, question, right? They aren't saying, send over the sign or send over the ready to execute DocuSign or whatever. Um, in the parallel might be kind of late research stage in the typical B2B marketing funnel. But just think about somebody who still has lots of questions, and is taking an active role, maybe. That phrasing, I need help, dot, 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 right? Those are the kinds of people that lead magnets kind of are traditionally aimed at. They are researching, they are starting to be active, and the business wants to drive them over by the end of the quarter into purchasing mode, right? Um, Again, are we
As if they
saying
have any control over that.
everybody wants to feel like they do?
Yep.
Um, but like, that's hopefully it's fairly obvious that, like, that's what lead magnets are for. Hey, how do I budget for this? Here's our Excel. Download our Excel workbook lead magnet, that'll help you do your budget. Or take. Fortunately, most companies have moved to putting those as like calculators on their website if they offer public pricing, right? But it's like, they have a question that they need more than like just reductive, I can ask Google or I can ask AI answers. And those are people that you want to be in front of. Those are people that we want to help, and we want to figure out how to replace lead magnets, which I believe seem like they're becoming less and less effective every week, with something else.
Yeah. And like one of the reasons there's such a bad idea is, like, if you care about AEO or any of that stuff, like, it's the gating of that stuff, like, not good for anything that
Yeah.
wants to discover it. And sure, maybe you can put like, so often it's like it's gated over here and free like over here somewhere,
Oh yeah.
right? And like, it's been the way I would start leading into this, like 2020, where it's like you have these sales teams that are like, man, once we get them in the door, we got it.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, what do you say? Like, why do they do that? And it's like, well, they like our expertise. Like, we got this main guy. It's like, well, how can, like, that's the thing I need to put over here for them to see. And that if you want more of those happening, like, I can't, there's no tricks. Can't put them. And if it's truly that much value that they're willing to pay, just like, I'm coming from like scientific spaces where when you can get access to a mind that can create a ton of value, if I can't show you that mind, right, which almost has to come from like a conversation or open videos about how to's,
Yeah.
right, sharing your knowledge and expertise, like, just because you're sharing it doesn't mean like, oh, I know how to do it now, so I don't need you anymore.
Right.
It's like, oh, I can trust this Oaks knows what he's talking about. I still don't want to do the thing. It looks like, okay, maybe I could use AI to, that sounds like a lot of work. Oaks
Mm-hmm.
has already done that work. Let me just, you know, let's see what he's about. Let's have a conversation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like the way that the whole dynamic changes when you're not trying to force a hand raiser, one to be something they're not on their side the moment that they gave you the information, and inside of your system where it's literally like, we need more leads right now. So we're gonna put full court press on some of these campaigns. We might change our MQL scores a little bit to get more over the
Mm-hmm.
line. And even though sales was begging you for more leads, they don't want any of those leads.
Yeah.
Um, and it's just such a, oh, uh, and also like as we get into the different categories that we've talked about and like the value path of just knowing who is involved and what they care about. Like
Yep.
the idea that you're going to be working with one human is so rare.
Yep.
And the power of understanding who you're going to be working with and what they care about usually has little to do with the problem that you solve directly is not the thing that they're going to be raising their hand about.
Yeah. I mean, it's that is especially true uh, these days, right? Like the leaving aside the the fraught conversation of like, well, if somebody's asking AI about like what I do, what our company does, specifically our solution, or like our category of solution or our solution specifically, whether they're going to get correct answers back or not right now, um, leaving that aside, the um, that everyone perceives that they will, right? They will get 80% good answers, and over time that number will go up as they investigate further. Um,
Because that's how SEO worked, right?
Maybe, right? Yeah, exactly. So leaving that aside, the like uh, taking it out of like an AEO or technology space, right? Like whatever, I don't know, custom homes is what's popping into my head, right? Like if somebody is in the custom home space and wants to generate leads or find customers, the um, nobody is asking like, well, what is a custom home, right? That's not a lot of value for um, people who are in your audience, right? It's all of that stuff around it, and maybe the the example that popped in my head is not good for the multi-stakeholder scenario, but
Oh
like
man, I have the same one pop into my head.
there are multi-stakeholder. I
How do
mean,
I get my wife's buy-in on this house
yeah.
purchase?
If you think B2C does not have a buying committee, people, I can tell you it absolutely does on a lot of purchases. Toothpaste, even, toothpaste
Yeah.
has, my wife and I have separate toothpastes, mostly because I don't care. But um, if there was one toothpaste, then there would be a buying committee, just like a disengaged influencer. But that exists everywhere, right? And hey, how do I, like a good example, a hand raiser could be saying, okay, how do I handle the objection to build time on a custom home, right? Like if we start now, it'll be done in a year. I don't know if that's accurate, but how do I handle that objection, right? Um, that doesn't need to be a lead magnet, but a content that answers that question, that helps frame it, that sets expectations, that says here's how you can speed it up, here's the things that slow it down, here's why it's this long, is it that long in your jurisdiction, all of that kind of surrounding information that somebody who is like starting to consider that seriously would want to know to have that conversation. I mean, is there anything that can like grease the wheels of that decision, right? Or help somebody or disqualify somebody who's like, oh, there's just no way, right? Like, we're moving in 3 months for work, and I was thinking about a custom home, but I see like, okay, that's not possible, so I need to go a different path, right? Um, that can definitely, save you a lot of time in headache and heartache, kind of dealing with that on a one-on-one basis. And that is way more valuable than like, oh, 9 reasons that you would love a custom home. Like, probably we don't need to sell people on that, right? Um, so, like, finding those questions where they are raising their hand, I need help, fill in the blank. That is how you can find engaging, hopefully not just downloadable PDF experiences and content that help those hand raisers navigate that decision, generate goodwill, positive affinity towards you because you're able to understand them better and offer better, more tailored information to the questions that they are asking. And you're going to need some basic, like, how much does it cost, and like, what does this even mean, and what does the roadmap look like, and functional questions. But the more that you can understand those actual kinds of things that people at that stage are trying to figure out, who are saying, boy, I wish somebody could help me figure this out, that's where the opportunity is going forward.
Yeah. And uh they want the conversation almost always. Um AI can turn into a bit of a trap right now very quickly. And it's like if you can show up in this way, like it's like the last bastion for building trust. And that's what you actually need. And if you can get it, it's like you don't get the hand raise, you don't get the call unless some level has of trust
Yeah.
has been built. And chances are you don't have the brand equity that somebody can just look at your logo and be like, "Oh yeah, I heard, Oaks uses them." I like it's like nobody got fired for buying IBM,
Yep.
like kind of deal, right? Like most folks are not in that bucket, but almost at every business has humans that have a specific set of skills or expertise that are designed to add value in some at some point of the process. And when I started like digging into the ask you answer and like, all right, these videos, like this whole like cost and price and comparison, it's like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we have so many sales slides. Like everybody loves that's what sales decks are built out of. But
Yeah.
why aren't they on the website anywhere? It's like, oh, we need to be in charge of that conversation because sometimes, right? And it's as if like you don't get to add that like you're still going to be able
Yeah.
to add that value, but when a lot of that stuff is table stakes, And that's, again, we come back to it's now, there's no scarcity anymore. And for most of this stuff, there really wasn't. It's not like you could like keep your pricing like from me. Like
Yeah.
for like 15 years now, there's been a way to figure out what your price is.
Yeah.
Um,
If you're
and
lucky, otherwise they're getting the wrong answer, right? And you're getting disqualified or miscategorized because you refuse to publish your pricing. But that's another conversation.
oh man, one of my favorite moments was, and not that this led to any action, but definitely shut down this conversation very quickly, was like you work for an equipment manufacturer. It's like high end like technology where equipment costs hundreds of thousands of dollars, and you say you don't care about the secondary market, and then you do a quick Google search, XYZ price, and then you see
Yeah.
used equipment with price on it, and that's the only price as a buyer.
Yeah.
Like, have fun with that sales conversation. And like, that's been happening for a long time.
Yep.
Again, knowledge. And if we could separate here, like, people have been coming to you, you've had success because of your expertise and the value that you add with the other humans in the process. That's AI doesn't have that. That's still not super abundant,
Yeah.
right? But there's a level of knowledge that we have to trust, like, first, before we give you a chance to offer that expertise, like
Yeah, for
in a
sure.
valuable
And that
way.
expertise, like the again, setting aside accuracy questions, which are not insignificant, but the facts are not scarce, really, right? And it used to be harder to get answers, right? Even Google was easier than going to the library, but still would, you know, all the we used to call it Google foo, being able to get figure out how to write the best query to get the right answer that you wanted, and that is no longer a thing. And like they ask you answer, kind of it belongs or the was founded kind of during that SEO era, and so like definitely is transforming. But things like, you know, the question, their big, I forget what all their categories are, but and some of them are very, the like the top lists are of theirs is like really tuned for the AI era, but like some of the like comparisons and like cost and price, like, okay, sure. But, you know, like producing a bunch of content that is just facts is like not super valuable. And being secretive until you can get somebody on a call or in a sales pitch so that you can wow them with all the facts that you know, um, is like putting that trust, is inverting that trust equation, right? What is that expertise that we used to think about in terms of facts, we need to think about in terms of more expansively, like in terms of trust. Like uh, anybody can learn the facts. Can you deliver on them? Are you trustworthy? Can you, you know, can you deliver service? Right. Those are the things that end up being the differentiators. So the with 5 minutes left here on the clock, the um, what kinds of things can we think about um, replacing like pure factual lead magnet PDF downloads with? There's a lot, but again, fill in the blanks of the things that your people at hand raising stage would ask, and they're like categorically, and this is based on customer interviews, looking at successful content in the past, um, uh, surveys, that kind of data over the years, is people at that stage are still trying to figure out. They have the question, I need help like understanding my situation or problem, right? This is like, maybe they're like, we have this challenge, and like, is this a process problem? Is this a people problem? Is this a system problem? Is there something that I'm missing? Like, why is this thing happening? Right? Like, they are trying to figure out their current space, what is going on. There is also, they are trying to understand or define their destination or their goal. They're saying like, I need help understanding like what good looks like for this. Now that I understand where I'm at, like where am I trying to reach by buying this piece of equipment or adopting this system or whatever, right? They need to kind of understand what that future looks like better. They need to, they need help. I need to help figuring out like, okay, I kind of know where I am and where I'm trying to get, but like, what's that process look like? How much does that cost? How long does it take? What are the steps? Do I need, how many of my people are involved? What decisions do I have to make? What traps might I fall into along the way that I could plan for? Those kinds of things, right? I need help building a case. Like, how do I anticipate objections from the rest of the organization? How do I help people see my point of view? How do I help frame the conversation? Right? How do I set expectations? I need help like translating that. You know, like the traps. What goes wrong? Who needs to be involved? Like, how do I navigate that stuff internally? And we already talked about this a little bit. Getting buy-in, right, which is a follow-on to building the case, right? Like, how do I convince an obstinate person on the buying committee? How do I address this with IT, right? That kind of thing. Um, those categories will help, but like you probably have some of this information in your gong or your sales calls, right? Like what kinds of things, people almost never phrase the questions in that way, but they ask for resources that address those needs, right? Or they say, I need to build a case with, you know, this person, or um, you know, uh, how do we get there is maybe the most common question that is actually phrased that way. But listen for those things. Oftentimes, sales, secondarily marketing, sales and service, secondarily marketing, are great sources for trying to figure out those things. What do they ask? What are the things that slow them down? What are the resources that they ask for and we don't have? Right, that kind of thing, and turn those into PDFs that they download gated by email if you have to. But there's a lot of other ways to um, create engaging content that brings people closer to you in experiences as well. We're not just talking about content, to help address those needs when somebody is like proverbially mentally raising their hand and saying, I need help, dot, dot, dot. How can you be right there with exactly what they need because you know that stuff so well to set yourself up to be just giving them value, building trust, and building a relationship with that audience?
Yeah. How can you show up and be valuable in this moment? It's not, oh, let's have a like book a call and we'll talk about it. Like, nope. If the pain is like, oh man, so deep, my stuff broke today, then I'm gonna get on the call. Because you're easier to find than the rest. So good job. But the call from there, if like it's just the adversarial relationship that you create in these moments where I know you know and you're not telling me
Yep.
until I give you something, right? I think this smells like a value first content series to me. And because all of the problems, like all of those help moments, just are inherently hard to add value to when you're over there and I'm over here and I'm asking you to fill out information. Like, we have to start the conversation first, and that's online, not with me live, but it's somewhere else. Like, we have to start it with value. And when we do, it's so rare. It's like an auto win in some cases, right? And like you say, there's emails, there's novels sitting in emails that
Yeah.
answer these questions that people have that you can pull out of HubSpot so easily now. Asking Breeze, hey, look at all our
Hmm.
emails related to tickets. Like, man, gold mine sitting right there for
Yeah.
you. And yeah, I look forward to digging into this more with you. Still amazing that it's 2026 and we're talking about lead magnets.
Yeah.
But here we are. Uh, so until next time, I hope everybody has a great rest of your Thursday, and we'll see you.